Hey everyone. So by the time you're watching this, Ripple Swell has already wrapped up. But guys, I've got to talk about some absolutely mind-blowing things that caught my attention. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. First off, I came across this incredible post from Paul Barron that just appeared on my timeline, and it completely broke down the absolute power that was on stage at Ripple Swell. I mean, when I saw this lineup, my jaw literally dropped. Check this out. Ripple Swell 2025's speaker lineup basically tells you everything you need to know about where Ripple is heading strategically. This wasn't just another crypto meetup in New York City on November 4th and 5th. No. This was something completely different. Here's what blew my mind about the speakers. We had BlackRock, NASDAQ, BNY Global, Citi, FTI, Franklin Templeton, and get this, even the White House was represented. Listen, this isn't crypto bros talking to crypto bros anymore. This is real finance. The big boys, the institutions that move trillions of dollars. When you see BlackRock and Franklin Templeton on the same stage, you know what that means? Both of these giants have either filed or are actively filing XRP ETF applications. The competition is getting fierce, but these are going to be massive players in the space. And here's the thing, you don't just randomly invite ETF applicants to speak at your event unless you're extremely confident about what's coming. Think about it. But what really gets me excited about Ripple Swell, and all these incredible names attached to it, is that we're literally watching the convergence of traditional finance and DeFi happening right before our eyes. Now, here's something that's stuck with me for years. David Schwartz, who was Ripple's CTO, said something that completely changed how I view Ripple Swell. He called it a banking conference held by a blockchain-based company. That statement hit different, because even today, years later, that's exactly what we're seeing. Ripple is still that blockchain company, but they're hosting events where the biggest names in traditional finance show up. Citi, JP Morgan, BlackRock, NASDAQ, BNY. It's absolutely wild when you think about it. But here's why this matters so much. Crypto has always been the serious player in the room. But now, finally, people are starting to take it seriously. That's the massive difference we're seeing right now. I actually quoted Paul's post and added my own take. Institutional DeFi is 100% the focus of Ripple. And guys, they're still building this incredible institutional DeFi portal around XRP and the XRP ledger. Just like Brad Garlinghouse keeps saying, XRP is at the center of everything Ripple does. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you already know about this institutional DeFi portal I keep talking about. We're going to dive deeper into that in just a second. But first, let me take you back to where this all started. Picture this. February of this year, Cointelegraph drops this huge story. XRP Ledger unveils institutional DeFi roadmap. This was the moment when Ripple Labs basically said, we're going all in on accelerating XRP Ledger's growth through institutional DeFi, including real-world assets. The roadmap they revealed was packed with game-changing features like MPTs, permission decks, and a whole bunch of other institutional-grade tools. And guess what? A lot of this stuff has already gone live on the XRP ledger. We're still waiting on a few pieces, but the main takeaway was crystal clear. Ripple is absolutely laser-focused on institutional DeFi. Then things got even more exciting. September 22nd rolls around, and we get this massive update about the next phase of institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger. They're talking about credit, compliance, and confidentiality, the holy trinity of institutional requirements. And here's the kicker that made my head spin. They revealed that the XRP ledger has officially entered the top tier of institutional DeFi, with over $1 billion in monthly stablecoin volume, and is now in the top 10 for real-world asset activity. I mean, when you put all these pieces together, the picture becomes incredibly clear about where this is all heading. But wait, there's even more happening that's going to blow your mind. So, beyond all of that, we now have credentials and deep fees that just went live. And guys, this is huge for institutional compliance. Think about it. Institutions need rock-solid compliance frameworks, And this is exactly what the XRP ledger is delivering. But here's where it gets really exciting. There's a native lending protocol coming that's going to unlock low-cost, compliant credit markets right at the protocol level. We're talking about institutional-grade lending built directly into the infrastructure.
And if that wasn't enough, they're developing zero-knowledge proofs, ZKPs for short, to perfectly balance privacy, compliance, and scalability. It's like they're solving every single pain point institutions have been worried about. When you combine lending, compliance, programmability, and tokenization all converging together, the XRP ledger is literally emerging as the leading blockchain for institutional finance. I'm not exaggerating here. This is absolutely crucial to understand because what this is telling us is that the ground is completely ripe. I mean, ripe for XRP and the XRP ledger to be fully embraced by institutional DeFi initiatives. Now, here's something that's going to get you even more excited. They're still actively building this institutional DeFi portal. It's currently on a waitlist, so it's not publicly available yet. But guys, this platform is specifically designed to help financial institutions bring their entire business on-chain, powered by both the XRP ledger and XRP itself. Let me break down the use cases for you. Tokenized assets, XRP deposits, XRP trading. We've talked about these before, but seeing it all come together like this just shows how incredibly serious Ripple is about institutional DeFi. And you know what? This takes me right back to that post from Brad Garlinghouse on the 24th, where he reminded everyone, XRP sits at the center of everything Ripple does. Because when you look at this DeFi portal and all these phases they're rolling out for the XRP ledger, it's crystal clear. They are 100% all in on institutional DeFi in the biggest way possible. But I've got another piece of the puzzle for you. Big shout out to Subjective Views for this next clip. Based on everything we've witnessed over the last few years, it should be absolutely crystal clear to everyone that the XRP ledger was purpose-built for institutional finance. Check this out.
Assets firm that does a lot of work on the XRP ledger, which is another example of a ledger that is designed for institutional finance. So in terms of the regulatory environment, I agree with what Marcello said. I think I would add, there has been a problem of oversimplification, which I think goes back to the fact that regulators and central banks are still learning about these technologies, and over the last few years they have lacked a detailed technical understanding of the sorts of features that public blockchains can have in order to mitigate the sorts of concerns that they have. So I've had conversations in the past where it really seems that they're most familiar with something like the Bitcoin ledger, and that's what they're thinking about, and they're identifying why that couldn't be used for institutional finance. So I think many of us would agree with that assessment, but there is a growing appreciation, and this is very welcome, of the diversity of blockchains, and that some blockchains have been purpose built to address the sorts of concerns that regulators have. But I think the key challenge for us as an industry is actually one of educating regulators and central banks and making sure they have the expertise, the technical expertise that they need in order to be able to judge whether or not a particular blockchain delivers the sorts of outcomes that they are looking for. And I think it's that's a challenge for them, but it's also a challenge for us.
Exactly. When we look at what's been happening across the entire crypto space, what's the main focus from the legitimate, mature ecosystems? It's institutional DeFi. Institutions plus DeFi, this is what almost every major player is laser focused on right now. We've even talked about this with Hedera recently. Hedera is going all in on institutional DeFi too. Any serious player in this space, the mature ones who are fully committed to crypto's future,
They're all focusing on the institutional side at this exact moment. Now, let me add another layer to this story with Securitize. Remember that massive announcement back in September? Securitize partnered with Ripple to enable RLUSD transfers for BlackRock's Build and VanEck's VBILL tokenized funds. All of this was built around RLUSD. I'm bringing this back up because when we really think about institutional DeFi, what is it exactly? Institutional DeFi is the perfect marriage of tokenization with DeFi-related processes. And speaking of Securitize, we just got an incredible update from Carlos Domingo, their CEO, talking about which industries can and will benefit from tokenization. Alden Crypto for catching this. Take a look.
You're more accessible, obviously pending the regulatory, framework, makes it easier to consume for retail people. Like, large investors, they have armies of people that they can deal with inefficiencies in markets that retail people don't have. So I think it's a great equalizer for accessing financial services products.
So if this is about the rails and about changing the rails, getting things that are not tokenized, so then they're more easily accessible, things are faster, things settle more quickly, who ends up losing out here?
That's a very good question. I think the incumbents, right? The intermediaries that sit in between those transactions.
Who are they?
Clearinghouses, central securities depositories, transfer agents we need to modernize. So transfer agents, I think they'll still be there, but in a modern version of them. Distributors like wealth management.
Give us some names.
You want me to be provocative?
Well, I just want you to, if you're thinking about a future like this, like where do people not want to be?
I think one of the things that probably disappears is the clearinghouses, right? Because the blockchain settles the trades, and the blockchain is the settlement layer, and therefore you don't need an intermediary to settle trades.
Are we just going to hear the clearinghouses at some point say that they're going to tokenize whatever's in their inventory as well?
Well, they are already saying, but that actually doesn't change anything, right? Because tokenization is about changing the market structure to eliminate intermediaries. So if the existing intermediaries are just stay there as intermediaries, but tokenizing something, it doesn't really, create any improvements to the market structure.
Do most people not even notice? Let's say we get to that world where everything is tokenized. Will the end user not even notice this world?
That's a very good question. So I think that tokenization or tokenized finance eventually will become finance, the same thing that internet companies are just companies today, right? So I think blockchains at some point, when they are integrated on the endpoints of consumers, will just disappear behind the scenes as another infrastructure. They're the same way that internet. Back in the days, you might remember, you had to dial up and have a modem and all that stuff. And today, everything is connected to the internet and it's transparent, right? So I do think blockchains will eventually become completely transparent.
This is 100% spot on. When we think about the underlying technology, blockchain itself, it's the back-end infrastructure. It's the foundation everything else builds on top of. So when we're talking about institutional DeFi and all these massive moves happening in crypto, I keep coming back to what Ripple is really creating with their platform, the XRP ledger. We've got to remember that the XRP ledger isn't just software. It's an entire network. Ripple is utilizing this network, fully embracing it for institutional DeFi. Everything they're building here is the core infrastructure that institutional players need to jump in, tokenize their assets, and then build incredible applications on top of those tokenized assets. The foundation is being laid right before our eyes, and it's absolutely mind-blowing to watch it all come together. And this is exactly why, when we look at what they're highlighting in their roadmap, they're literally mentioning all the pieces needed to support institutional purposes. But here's what's really exciting. This includes compliance-driven scenarios, like stablecoin issuance and real-world asset settlement. Because guys, when it comes to tokenization, we're not talking about tokenized assets just moving on-chain and sitting there doing nothing. Oh no, these assets are going to act exactly like any other asset in traditional tokenization or DeFi protocols. This is precisely why tokenization is such a game changer that we need to pay attention to. And speaking of DeFi, do you remember that massive announcement from Brad Garlinghouse back on October 20th? He introduced Evernorth with Ashish Birla and his incredible team. And what's this all about? Supporting DeFi yield opportunities specifically for XRP. We're talking about institutional lending, liquidity provisioning, and DeFi yield opportunities all built around XRP. Plus, when you look at all the acquisitions Ripple has been making, every single one is focused on institutional capabilities. I mean, at this point, it's absolutely crazy that people don't realize what Ripple's ultimate end goal is here. Their 100% focus is crystal clear: institutional-grade DeFi and institutional-grade adoption of their platform, which completely revolves around XRP and the XRP ledger. This is the next big wave, and we're watching it unfold in real time. So there you have it. I hope you guys absolutely loved diving into this analysis with me. If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, definitely smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on so you never miss when we break down the next big moves in this space.